Hey everyone, this is D, Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today I'm coming to you all with a review for Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, and starring Austin Butler, Tom Hanks, and Olivia Dejonge. Story-wise, the film chronicles the rise of the legendary Elvis Presley as he establishes his legacy as the king of rock and roll. So, I'm going to start with the pros. Surprisingly, there was a lot I really enjoyed about this film. So, as I previously mentioned, this film is directed by Baz Luhrmann. He's previously directed films like Strictly Ballroom, Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge, Australia, and The Great Gatsby. I think that Baz Luhrmann's style can be very up and down for a lot of people, myself included. I really do appreciate how bold and stylized and in your face it is. And just in general, I really appreciate the spectacle of it all. But then there are also times where it's just so much spectacle that it gives me just a little bit of a headache. That being said, Moulin Rouge is still my favorite film of his, and I think that is at the very least in the top 10 of my favorite movie musicals. But when I realized he was directing this film, and when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I don't know, for the same reasons I mentioned. But I am very, very happy to say that for the most part, I think his direction really adds something so unique and so special to this film. Especially those music numbers and just the frenetic energy and the intensity and just the editing and just the style of it overall. It actually worked for me. And I didn't think it would, but I was really, really into it and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. Now, fair warning. I will say that at the end of this film, because of its style and the way that it's shot, you will definitely feel exhausted after it's over. I've even seen other people who have said something similar. But that's actually not a con for me. And I say that because if you look at the latter years of Elvis's life and you see his experience and you understand where he was towards the end of his life, then there's actually this really tragic parallel as far as how we as the audience feel towards the end of the film and what his own experience in his life and in his career and what that was like for him. And just that feeling of heaviness and disorientation and just feeling weighed down. I actually appreciated how there was that connect there as an audience member and then connecting to Elvis from that perspective. That actually was something I really didn't expect to see or understand. But I do think being able to see and feel from his perspective in that way, I actually thought that was pretty ingenious. Now, if you know me, then you know that I love, love, love costume design, and I have such an interest in the work that goes into it, especially for period pieces. So it really goes without saying that I thought the costume design was truly impeccable, especially once we get into the 1970s phase of Elvis's career in Las Vegas. I just kept staring at those suits, the capes, the colors, the fabrics, the adornments, and just the style of it all. I was loving it. Our costume designer and production designer here is Catherine Martin. She's an Australian costume designer, production designer, and set designer. She has won a total of 4 Academy Awards for her collaborative work in costume design and production design. This includes 2 Academy Awards for Moulin Rouge in 2002 and 2 Academy Awards for The Great Gatsby in 2014. And it just so happens that she is in fact married to Baz Luhrmann and has done costume design and production design on all of his previous films. And I have to say that she has done another bang-up job here. She actually had to create 90 costumes just for Austin Butler to wear as Elvis throughout his career and throughout the years. And that's not even counting all the additional costumes for all the other characters and figures throughout the years as well. Yeah, that is definitely a tall order. But I think it is safe to say that she is absolutely headed for her 5th and 6th Academy Award here. Now, let me say very quickly, as someone who is familiar with Black history and is familiar with the music industry and understands the history of that industry and how it is often profited off of and stolen the work of black artists, of black music, and just from the black community in general, I was a little iffy seeing how that subject was going to be approached in this film. But I have to say that I really do appreciate that, in fact, we do see that the legendary and iconic figures who helped originate that look, that sound, and that style, they are actually highlighted here and showcased. B.B. King, Little Richard, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Arthur Crudup, Big Mama Thornton, and Mahalia Jackson, among others. Mind you, I still don't know the specifics of what actually happened and what might have been inspiration and what wasn't. Although history has shown that it would be the exception and not the rule. But either way, I love the fact that it's made clear that these are the founders, this is where this all originated from, because I think that is so, so important. Lastly, there's really not much I can say about this last piece because it really speaks for itself. Austin Butler, Austin Butler, Austin Butler. Now, some of you may recall his role as Tex Watson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but to many of us, he would be considered a relative newcomer. But when I tell you that Austin Butler's performance in this film is phenomenal, it is spectacular, it is like mind-blowing almost. Now, it is not easy for any actor to step into the shoes of someone famous or well-known, musical figure or otherwise. But my goodness, if this man does not make it look easy, I don't know what else to say. Although I might have been hesitant at the beginning, once this film got to going, I honestly couldn't see anything but Elvis. I know what Elvis looks like, but surprisingly, it's just I felt that connection with Elvis, and it was just really mesmerizing, and it was really something to see. I mean, this man put in the work. He brought the energy, the accent, the style, just the body language and the physicality of it all. It came together flawlessly. And a special shout out to Denzel Washington because apparently he gave Baz Luhrmann a call. Didn't even know Baz Luhrmann, but he told him, look, I have worked with Austin Butler on the stage, and that is who you want for this role. And I'm so glad that he did that. Baz Luhrmann was kind of okay. But then now we have this phenomenal performance that has come forth out of all of that. So I do have to send a special shout out to Denzel for making this happen. And in the same vein of iconic musical biopic performances like Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon in Walk the Line, Angela Bassett in What's Love Got to Do with It, and Jamie Foxx in Ray, Austin Butler is right there with the best of them. All right, now I'm going to jump over to the cons. Now, I definitely had some worries and some hesitation about this film before it was released, and some of that is definitely confirmed here. First off, the use of modern music. While I did think that worked extremely well in Moulin Rouge, I thought it was very off-putting and out of place here. That just, the whole anachronistic vibe of that, I wasn't really into it. So I've mentioned this before, most notably in my reviews for Respect and House of Gucci, that it is extremely difficult to capture anyone's life or tell a story about someone's life that covers several decades. There's just so much story to tell, there's so many milestones and specific events to cover, and unfortunately, the medium of film doesn't allow us to explore any of that in a totally fleshed out way. Especially compared to television and the use of limited series, which I personally prefer. Which then leaves us, similar to other biopics, with something more akin to a visual Wikipedia reel. Unfortunately, that means we don't get to see the brick by brick of his career and his milestones and just making this impact as an artist. And believe me, if anyone understands that challenge, it is definitely me. Even with making reviews and, doing TV show recaps, trying to figure out what to expound upon, what to discuss, what not to discuss, it can be very challenging and frustrating. So I do understand that. But because we are kind of having to zoom through so many years and so many moments, we don't get a chance to just like sit in certain spaces and moments with Elvis. It's just kind of like, so along with that frantic, hectic pace, that means that there aren't enough moments for Austin Butler even to play off of the more dramatic moments, the more personal and intimate moments, and especially the introspective moments. Which also means that because Elvis Presley and Colonel Tom Parker take up so much of the film, along with these milestones, and it's kind of from their perspectives almost, we don't get much in the way of Elvis's family or his friends and the people that have kind of shaped his life. Also, if anyone is going into this film expecting it to really flesh out certain aspects of Elvis's life that were more controversial, then this film does not do that, which is not really that surprising to me. Specifically when it comes down to Priscilla and the nature of that relationship and the timeline of that, and even Elvis's behavior outside of the marriage, and it's just, yeah. So if certain people are expecting that, that may or may not be an issue for you. And it's unfortunate that that isn't fleshed out either, not because of controversy, but because that is a very pivotal and significant relationship in his life, and I feel like we only get like this much of it. Lastly, and similarly to how I closed out my pros, I have to highlight a very specific performance here. Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker, no. Like I said before, when I saw the trailer for this film, I was like, for a lot of reasons. But a huge reason for that was when I saw Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker. I mean, every time that trailer would come on in the theater, and then I would hear,
"We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity."
Oh, hell no. Please, be done.
like, it was so cringy. I just was like, ugh, no. Unfortunately, the film takes it a step even further and decides to structure the film around Colonel Tom Parker to open with him and then continue on with him as an unreliable narrator for the entire film. I kid you not. When I saw the opening of this film, I was seriously rethinking my decision to watch this film. I actually was looking at the exit like, you know, it's not too late to bow out gracefully. Now, I have been a Tom Hanks fan since I was very young, watching Forrest Gump at my grandmother's house. Ironically, that is where I first heard about Elvis, and for many, many years, I really thought that Forrest Gump inspired Elvis to dance because of him bouncing around in his leg braces. But I digress. I appreciate him as an actor and all his countless films and performances. But this performance was a no for me. And I don't know whether to blame it on the performance as much as the prosthetics and the suit and the accent. Maybe underneath all that, there might have been a quality performance, but I just couldn't see it. I was too distracted. When I tell you I despised every minute that Tom Hanks was on screen as Colonel Tom Parker, and mind you, Colonel Tom Parker is a villain, so it's not like I was supposed to feel happy feelings anytime he was on screen. But literally, every time he was on screen and he opened up his mouth to speak, I was just like,
"We are two odd, lonely children reaching for
Shut the up!
it just felt like a caricature. And it's all the more confusing because apparently the actual Colonel Tom Parker didn't sound like this.
He knew all of it, but he knew that he could do whatever he wanted to, and nobody told Elvis Presley what to do because he was a very strong person, and we had a great relationship.
Which leads me to wonder, like, why? Oh, and the narration for this film, I think that it can absolutely work for the right film and when it's done the right way. But most of the time, I feel like it's just kind of like hand holding for the audience and a way of adding commentary to moments that really don't need any further explanation. I just don't get it because we have a wide array of actors that could have played this role without all of this needing to be added onto it. A wasted opportunity. So I'm going to give Elvis a C+. Now, let me go ahead and say that Austin Butler's performance alone is an A+, for sure. However, I think some of the other choices that are made with the film, they don't necessarily live up to how spectacular his performance is. I think so much of what we see here is very unique and very engaging and very strong. But then we have this performance by Tom Hanks and this structure of the story that doesn't even allow us to see or hear from Elvis in his own words. It's like this whole setup where we're on the outside looking in, and I just feel like a film about Elvis, that is the wrong approach to take. And I really didn't care for it. But if nothing else, I am so excited to see what's up next for Austin Butler, especially now that he's booked a role in the upcoming Dune Part 2. Elvis is now playing in theaters. You guys feel free to check it out, leave your thoughts below, and let me know what you think. So, once again, this is D, Movie Man, signing off, and I'll see you at the movies.